El Chapo's mysterious new deal with the FBI will blow your mind. El Chapo has even dealt with the FBI. He has become more powerful now. No one can beat him. No one can catch him. Yes, we're talking about the most powerful gangster in the world. But how did he do it? Was it all magic? What kind of deal did he make with the FBI? If you want to know everything about it, then follow this video till the end. And let's begin. Joaquin Archivaldo Guzman-Loyra, often known as El Chapo, has been terrorizing Mexico. Recently in the United States, one of the most deadly, vicious, and prominent drug lords in the world, almost reaching the grandeur of Pablo Escobar, Guzman has evaded capture or extradition on several occasions and in ingenious methods. However, after his recent arrest a few years ago, a conviction was handed down by the court after superb work by the FBI, which has changed everything for the infamous drug lord.
The convicted Sinaloa cartel boss, who was responsible for 80% of Chicago's illegal drug trade, trying to do something that would convince a court.
Arandas. At the time the mayhem broke out, Ivaro Arandas was making his way toward the check-in booth at the international airport in Culiacan. The Mexican businessman, who had intended to join a flight to the city of San Luis Potos, located in the state's east central region, said that you could hear the gunfire and that there were big bangs and so much noise. Instead, Arandas found himself scrambling for cover as security forces and cartel gunmen fought for control of an airfield that had become the latest front line in a Latin American drug conflict that claimed the lives of tens of thousands of people every year. Arandas' deal was made even more terrifying by the fact that he was shot in the leg. There was a state of terror. People abandoned their bags and their phones. In fact, they abandoned everything to seek refuge, the 32-year-old said of the confrontations that took place. Stuck in the airport. After 24 hours, Arandas was still stuck inside the airport as Mexican troops fought to regain complete control of Sinaloa state capital. The day before, the arrest of one of the most wanted men in the country, Ovidio Guzman, sparked a day of bloodshed and chaos. Arandas was unable to leave the airport because Mexican troops were fighting to regain complete control. At least 29 persons were found dead, including 10 members of the military and 19 accused gunmen for the cartel, while 35 other troops were injured.
This is a huge blow for the Sinaloa cartel. We see all these violent events all over Sinaloa because they are upset that this happened.
His son. Guzman, the 32-year-old son of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the former head of the Sinaloa cartel, was now imprisoned in Mexico City after the most recent brutal episode in the history of his family's territory in the region's northwestern corner. On the eve of Joe Biden's arrival the following week, Mexico's head of security, Rosa Isela Rodriguez, greeted Guzman's arrest by declaring nobody is above the law. Near a rural fishing community called Yes Mora, 45 miles north of the capital, the security forces reported that they had spotted a convoy of approximately 25 cartel vehicles in which their target, also known as El Raton or the Mouse, was believed to be traveling. The subsequent gun battle between troops and gangsters armed with .50 caliber machine guns resulted in the deaths of 7 soldiers. The gangsters were desperate to avoid the arrest of Guzman, who was suspected of being a trafficker of cocaine, marijuana, and methamphetamine. The United States had offered a reward of $5 million for information leading to Guzman's capture.
The alleged fentanyl and meth trafficker was released when his powerful drug cartel.
Tonight, U.S. officials have put bounties on each of the sons at $5 million per man.
The Black Hawk. A Black Hawk chopper equipped with a machine gun that fired 3,000 rounds per minute and 6 barrels battered a target in a manner comparable to what American soldiers did in Vietnam. Guzman was eventually taken into custody, but the situation continued to deteriorate as other members of the cartel went on a rampage throughout Sinaloa state, setting fire to vehicles, blocking roads, and attempting to seize control of the airport in Culiacan to prevent the authorities from removing their leader. As the violence expanded across the state of Sinaloa, the Security Secretary of the state, Cristobal Castilleda, tweeted, "We are urging civilians not to go out." Mike Vigil, a former commander of the Drug Enforcement Administration, has said that Mexican officials are somewhat to blame for the reaction of the cartel to Guzman's imprisonment.
And we have been pursuing Chapo Guzman for a number of years in coordination with the Mexican government. So he has been brought under rule of law.
When the drug kingpin was momentarily captured in October 2019, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador controversially ordered forces to liberate him. This was done after criminals brought the city to a stop on a day known as Culiacan's Black Thursday. López Obrador, who is better known by his nickname AMLO, said at the time that we do not want conflict. Vigil stated that AMLO's decision has sent a clear message to the leaders of Mexico's two most feared organized crime groups, the Sinaloa and the Jalisco New Generation cartels, that if a leading member of the cartel was captured and you generated wholesale violence, there's a good possibility that they would be released. So it came to be that the armed men in Sinaloa decided to cause mayhem. According to Vigil, clearly they have established a strategy to block off the whole of the city if they need it. The response is on par with any military that's been properly trained. They are well aware of the steps that need to be taken. Everyone's accountable for their actions. It would seem that part of their strategy included seizing control of the airports in Culiacan and barring any military aircraft from arriving there to evacuate their high-profile prisoner. The Mexican Defense Minister. The Mexican Defense Minister, Luis Crescencio Sandoval, told reporters that when Arandas arrived at check-in, criminals opened fire on both military and commercial aircraft, some of which were still in flight. They then started a fire on airport structures. In a shocking official description of the warlike carnage, Sandoval revealed that two Air Force jets had to make emergency landings after being struck by a large number of cartel gunfire. The planes had been damaged by a substantial amount of cartel bullets. One of the flights that was attacked was an Aero-Mexico flight that was headed to Mexico City at 8:24 in the morning. The passengers on that flight could be seen ducking for shelter between the jet's dark blue seats as the attack took place around them. Some analysts think that the arrest of Guzman was meant to be a show of good faith to President Joe Biden, with whom AMLO is scheduled to meet in Mexico City to discuss topics such as migration and security, including Mexico's role in the fentanyl crisis in the United States. It's proof that his approach of hugs rather than guns is not a plan that implies impunity. The apprehension of Guzman, who was transported to Mexico City by helicopter after his arrest, was hailed by Vigil as a triumph for justice and the rule of law. However, he said that since the Sinaloa cartel was such a large and decentralized organization, it was doubtful that his arrest would have a significant impact on the criminal activities it was engaged in. Their business world. They do business on 6 of the world's 7 continents. The only continent they don't operate in is Antarctica because penguins don't have money to buy drugs, joked Vigil, who went on to say that this is not going to have any impact on the violence in Mexico or the drugs coming into the U.S., especially fentanyl, which is the major crisis that we have. It looked that the violence in Culiacan had calmed by the afternoon of Friday the 13th. Even though the state security secretary instructed citizens to drive with their windows down if their vehicles were tinted, the city's once haunted streets gradually started to fill up as cartel roadblocks were eliminated one by one. Few people believe that quiet will last for a long time. Some people are concerned about a potential power struggle between the competing Jalisco cartel and a weaker Sinaloa cartel. Vigil claimed that even while the streets of Culiacan may have returned to normal, cartel leaders would soon direct their army of killers to exact vengeance on military officers and their families for the capture of Guzman. He said they will not let this stand, and I believe him. That's all for this video. Let us know in the comment box what you all think about it. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.